11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hang on, y'all. I'm trying to get comfortable. No shade. Can y'all hear me? I hope y'all can hear me. And do I look crazy? Oof. Imagine I look crazy. Anyways, hold on, y'all. Let me get comfortable. Well, hi everyone. This is my first episode. Well, I wouldn't really call this an episode. It's not an official podcast or whatever. I feel like this is more of like a video journal of me just documenting my growth and my thoughts, cause a bitch be yapping and I talk a lot. And I just need an outlet to like kinda share my thoughts and whatnot. Cause why not? If I'm sniffing a lot, it's because I'm low-key getting sick. And a bitch is dying on the inside, so don't mind me. Today's topic has been on my mind for a hot minute. I would say it's been on my mind for the last 3 years, but now it's really like, whoa. And that's adulting. And I'm slowly realizing that adulting, she's ghetto. Like, it's really the ghetto out here.
Ooh! Ah, the ghetto! The ghetto! The ghetto!
No one prepared me for what adulting was or what it was gonna entail. But I think now being in it just made me realize how hard it is. And also like, girl, it's the trenches out here. I'm fighting for my life. I don't know if I'm gonna make it out of adulthood alive. Well, you don't make it out of adulthood ever until you die, so I guess no one ever makes it out of adulthood. Oh? Anyways, I'm eating Nobby's peanuts. Salted ones, of course, because I'm a savory girl through and through, and these hit. And they're healthy. Now, adulting. I feel like as a kid, I always really wanted, like I was so eager to move out of the house, have my own money, be independent, and just be on my own. And I think, yeah, everyone kind of feels like that. Eventually, we all just want to live our own lives without our parents or away from our family just for a little bit. Because, I don't know, it's an experience that every human being or every living thing needs to have. But I was really eager from a really young age. I was kind of in a rush to grow up a little bit. Like, I remember when I was 12 and just being like, oh, I just cannot wait till when I'm like 20 and just out of the house and living my life and having all this freedom. And now that I'm 21, I wish I could tell 12-year-old me, girl, it ain't all that. Stay in the house, stay inside. But then I eventually got the opportunity to move to Sydney at the age of 18 and really like kind of start doing the adult things, like finding an apartment, paying bills, working so I can pay my rent, internet bills, all of that had to be part of the consideration. But I was kind of in this good middle ground because I was staying with my sister. It was just me and her in this little apartment in Sydney, and we had moved essentially together from Queensland to New South Wales. So I kind of had a backbone with me, and I wasn't thrown into the deep end. It was still the shallow. I'm still in the water. I'm definitely in the water, but it was giving I can still stand on my 2 feet. And I didn't have that much responsibility per se. Like, the only thing I really needed to worry about was making sure that I had enough money for rent. And I was working plenty in my shitty little retail job to be able to sustain myself and keep me fed and have a roof over my head. But little things like, I guess, sorting out the electricity bill, water bills, and maintenance to the apartment, things like that, I kind of just gave my sister the money and she dealt with it. Because she had more experience with it. So, for the first 3 years of just living on my own with my sister, I honestly loved it. Like, I feel like everyone should move out with, like, a close friend or other sister to just, like, help each other out, especially if it's your first time doing this and being independent. It's always great to do with someone that you trust and are close with. And I know y'all heard a lot of, like, horror stories with, like, staying with your friends or your sister and stuff like that. But, look, use your judgment and figure out if that's something you want to do. But I think it's a really good idea to be with someone you trust, who's going to, like, help you and you're going to help them figure it all out. Because it's not easy doing it alone. Let me just be very clear on that. Like, things that should be easy, like setting up electricity bill. Oh my god, yo, I had a nightmare doing that. Like, it was too much, and I didn't have my sister here with me, and I wish she was here with me. But it's fine, I figured it out. It would have been a lot more helpful if I had someone sitting there with me telling me what to do, or like just figuring it out with me, because it's kind of like a lonely process being an adult and figuring shit out by yourself. It's just not fun, y'all. Don't do it. But yeah, I'd say pretty chillax first 3 years of like easing into adulthood. I had like graduated high school, moved to a completely different state, and was kind of trying to find my grounding again with like friendships and connections and building a community in a different place than I grew up. And that was a really fun experience, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be focused on those things as opposed to like being worried about adult things, which now I kind of have to worry about. Because recently my sister had moved out to France. She now lives in Paris with her boyfriend, and now I live with a roommate, and I'm, I guess, responsible solely for everything. The maintenance, making sure that I have enough toilet paper or soap or hand wash, things like that I wasn't considering before now has to be considered, and it's such a jarring transition, I guess. Well, it's not as jarring as it could have been, especially because I had already like had these thoughts in my head, especially living with my sister and paying electricity and stuff, so I knew what responsibilities were and what being an adult entailed. But still, like, being forced to buy things you need as opposed to things you want. I know that sounds so superficial and like crazy, but it's really true. Like, you could be walking around the shops on your way to get toilet paper and you really want that bag that's on the shelf, and you can't get it because toilet paper is not cheap. Okay, and you still have to pay your rent in 2 days, so you can't just go out buying everything you want. You're gonna be like really mindful of your finance and what's in your bank account. That's a really scary experience, especially we'll get to it. I'm rambling right now, sorry. This is so unstructured. It's literally just me expressing my thoughts. I don't know if y'all fuck with that. If y'all don't fuck with that, I'm doing what I want to do. Y'all can do what y'all want to do. And that's life. The message is, you do you, and I'ma do me. Anyways, yeah. Now I feel like it is a bit daunting, especially since I don't really have something to fall on. My sister is gone. My family lives in a different state. I'm kind of really here all by myself now, if we're really being honest. Sure, I've made some really great friends and people I'm gonna, be surrounded with for a very long time, but it's still different, because I would say that Sydney is a different place to, like, Queensland, especially in the sunny coast of Brisbane. Like, people here are a different breed. I'll never fully understand it. I'm just here, like, observing everything. I'm still learning. I do feel sometimes that I'm kind of alone on this journey, which is, it's lonely, but it's also good because now I know that I'm capable to do it by myself. So if I was, you know, in the future were to move somewhere else, I know that I'm going to be able to hold myself up and get through it. Adulting is ghetto. She's a motherfucking bitch. She's the trenches, okay? Especially in today's state of cost of living. The costs are going up. Look, like, literally I bought a piece of garlic that costed me 50 cents for one tiny little clove, and it had like a rotten piece inside. Like, 50 cents, bitch. Are you serious? Groceries is not cheap. Rent is going up every time I re-sign the lease. My water tank is broken, so I'm going to pay up front to fix that. And internet, internet, bitch, $80. That's out of my bank account. By the time I pay everything, I have $0 left in my spending. And it's like, I can't tap into my savings because that's for emergencies. And there's not much in there either. And just in case anything happens, I need to be able to rely on her. It does become a bit of a conundrum because you want to do things that are like, you know, you're 21. Most of, like, I guess most people that are watching this are probably my friends and family. And a lot of us are young. We're kind of at that transition stage between being at uni and now, like, coming to an end of it, graduating, or maybe you're starting to think about being in the workforce and your place in the workforce. And it's kind of a scary shift, especially because we've spent most of our lives up to this point being in school and being at uni and kind of, like, you know, having the privilege to have an excuse of like, oh, I'm young, I'm still figuring it out. But we're getting to an age where we kind of have to start to have it figured out. You know what I mean? 21 is young, but it gets to a point where how much longer can I work at my casual minimum wage job without being seen as a failure? That's kind of morbid, but you get the point. I feel like a lot of us currently are at that weird transition stage, and it's honestly a really scary experience to be thrown into the workforce, knowing that for the rest of our lives, that's where we're gonna be. So the decisions we make does matter. Like, look, people work for like 45, 50 years, girl, maybe longer. I hope I'm not working for longer than that. I'm trying to get that moolah and dip to like Dubai or something. I'm not trying to stay working, but that's kind of like what life for most people will be. It's just working, rest on the weekend, then more working, and maybe if you're lucky, you get to have a couple of years off. And if you're really lucky, you kind of just get passive income and have everyone else work for you. Whether that's ethical or not, that's a different story. But yeah, so the decisions I make now that I'm about to graduate university, kind of matter because it is the starting point of my life. It's the beginning of the trajectory of where my career would lead, what my lifestyle would look like. And I gotta be careful with what I wanna do. And they don't teach you about these things in high school, or no one ever talks about it. Especially when you're juggling career life and social life, trying to improve yourself, and also having to be on top of your bills and expenses. It's not an easy journey, but I guess everyone eventually has to deal with it. It's just when you're kind of in the middle of it, it does feel like a dead end at some point of being like, dude, I'm kind of in this shit. Like, I have to go to work tomorrow. Just because I don't want to, I still have to go because bitch rent you on Friday. You might want to go travel to Japan or go to Eurosummer. And you start saving up. But it's taking you a hell of a long time because you're paying for all these expenses and these necessities. Little things you don't think about, they do add up. Like food, groceries, toiletries, things like that. It does become a bit of a headache. And I think in this kind of cost of living crisis right now, it doesn't help because things are going to keep going up in prices. And we're just going to have to be savvy about how we spend our money and what we spend our money on. You know, that's how it is. So I've got some prompt questions that I have made up for myself to, I guess, start up conversations and get my brain juices flowing a little bit. And this one's really interesting to me. What's something you've learned the hard way that you wish someone else had told you earlier? How lonely adulting can be? I think that's like one of the most difficult challenges that I've had to like overcome. And I guess I'm in the unique position of like, I moved out of home to a different state where I don't know anyone, into a space that is very unfamiliar to me. And I'm also not particularly good at being social with people. At least like, I guess people sometimes are a bit intimidated by my presence or don't find me approachable, which is totally understandable. I do have a resting bitch face, which I need to fix up, because this stank face ain't gonna get me anywhere. But yeah, I wish someone had warned me about it and just tell me that it was a normal experience to have, because when I first moved to Sydney, my experience of like living alone wasn't necessarily shared by a lot of people in my university. Some people were living by themselves, but they were either, having the rent paid for by their family or were still living at home. So that's like, I guess, a division between me and my peers. It's like, because I moved out at such a young age, literally straight out of high school, worked for the entire summer, saved up, and then I was gone. Like, I didn't really have a period where I could just like be a couch potato and not go to school and still not have like to pay rent and responsibility. Like, that was not the case for me. As soon as I was done with high school, I was out the house, pretty much. So yeah, coming here was just like, oh damn, like everyone wants to go out on these days and this and that, and I'm like, well, I have work, and it's just like I have a fear of missing out as well. So it's like it becomes a whole issue, and I just found it really difficult, especially in the beginning, to make deep connections with people when I had all these worries in the back of my head of like, shit, like if life goes slightly wrong this month, I might not have a house next month. I might not be living under a roof. I might be couch hopping or on the streets, girl. Which, I know, dramatic, but when you first move out, those thoughts are really real. You kind of think of all like what ifs. What if this happens? What if the worst happens? And what am I going to do to get out of it? Your survival instinct, she got to be switched on. And having self-trust is really important, because if you don't, which you would naturally start to like be able to rely on yourself, but I guess if that never comes to you, life is not going to be, it's not going to be fun. You're going to be stressing for the rest of it, because anything can go wrong. The worst thoughts that you've thought of could happen. It is a possibility, but knowing that you're going to be able to pick yourself back up and problem solve real life situations is a really good trait to have. If you can't trust yourself, girl, you can't trust nobody else. Anyway, another question is, what's a financial mistake you made that taught you the most? Oh, girl. A financial mistake that I've made that was like, girl, that's crazy, you need to like figure your shit out, was when I first moved out, I think. Still in that learning mode, I wasn't really quite comprehending the fact that I had all these responsibilities, and it was like just spending my money on anything that I wanted. For instance, I remember the first couple of weeks that I moved here, I was like getting Uber Eats out like all the time, because I was trying to get used to the house and like trying to feel comfortable in my space, because I'm I'm not the type of person to like love change. So when change does happen in my life, I need to like really take it slow and just like be zen and start to like grow my roots down in this new environment. And I know it sounds crazy, but I was like honestly really scared to leave the house and like explore the neighborhood and go to the shops and like figure out the public transport. Like all of that was such a hassle to me. So like I was just spending so much money on Uber Eats to my house, and it was just like, girl, this is the second week we're doing this, and I added up all the money that I spent, and it rounded up to like a good like $700, maybe more. $700. And by the end of that week, I also had to pay rent, my first rent that I had to pay. And I was like, I looked at my account, and she was $700 short, okay? Thank God I had stuff in my savings that could like help me up, but just like don't get Uber Eats, girl. Like just walk to the shops, get the bus, cook your own food. Like eating out, especially Uber Eats with the delivery fee and the tax and all that, it's a proper scam. Now don't get me wrong, I love a good Uber Eats on a Friday night when I'm feeling, lazy and ugly and don't want to be outside and too tired to cook anything. But sometimes you just gotta cop it, especially when you don't have the funds. It's okay to get Uber Eats every now and then, but it's not something that you should be doing every day. You gotta be responsible, and also it's a lot healthier to just eat inside. You don't want to get yourself in bad habits, okay? Another financial mistake that I was making a lot was buying vapes. Now, I was a vape fiend when I first moved to Sydney. Like, I couldn't go a day without a vape, and that was like really bad. And at that time, vapes were like pretty cheap, and then all of a sudden, overnight, it became so expensive of the Australian government, and I was spending like a good $60 every week or every other week on vapes, and I was just like, girl, this habit is so expensive. I don't know how people can sustain this. I'm gonna cut it out. I'm gonna start chewing Nicorette gums. If I had added up all the money I had spent on vapes at that period of time in my life, I would say in the span of like maybe half a year, I probably spent like nearly $2,000 on it, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Another question is, how do you handle the stress of bills, rent, and budgeting without feeling overwhelmed? Now, I don't think I've figured this out yet. I kind of stopped being overwhelmed because I've done it so much now. It's been 3 years, but I'm not the best at budgeting or like making sure my money is in the right place and then it's ready for when the bills are due or da 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 da. I kind of just go with the flow, honestly. I am not the type of person to put things on auto pay. Like, I'm not that elite in my adult experience yet. But I mean, props to all the people who like have Google calendars and separate bank accounts, budget out, and they start up like a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet for all of their expenses. I guess that would be a good way to budget it out and not be overwhelmed. For some people to just really break it down and know exactly what they need to spend their money on and how much money should be in what account. But for me, if I were to do that and be like a super control freak with my money, I'll just get more overwhelmed and I'll be like, there's no freedom in this. But that's just me though. I kind of just go with the flow, which is not the best, but I like I said before, I have that self-trust and I know, like, my intuition tells me, girl, you shouldn't spend your money on this because you got, and it always works out every time. Maybe when I start making a little bit more money and when I have a bit more expenses and more responsibilities as I get older, I will start doing the budgeting and the Excel shit. But for now, I'm living my life. My money comes in. When it's time to pay, I take it out. I spend as little as I can, but I'm not like being super restricted with my spending. If I want to get Uber Eats on a Friday night after a big work day, I will get it. Am I gonna get on a Saturday night? Probably not. Like, I'm not gonna do it twice in a row just because I know that's probably not responsible. And if I wanted to go, to a restaurant with my friends, I'm not gonna say no to that. Or go for a drink, go out for a night once a week, like things like that. I'm not too restricted with, but it's always good to just be, mindful of what you're spending and just keep it in your mind of how much money you're taking out. Because once you start to lose track of that, it can get a little tricky. You can get a little into that gray area, and then you start to wonder, you don't know if you're going to be able to afford rent this month, and that's not good. Another thing about adulting that I found really interesting, which was honestly quite unexpected, was how relationships and friendships kind of change when you become an adult. I personally was super close with my high school friends. Like, it was 4 or 5 of us, and I was so tight with them because I saw them literally every day, and we would just honestly just got along really well. But as I became an adult and moved away, what I didn't expect was for those relationships to change. Some of them I fell out of, but a lot of them I'm still close with, but they're just different than what they were. The things we talk about, the conversations we have, the kind of relationships that we kind of share is extremely different to what it was. For example, me and one of my friends from high school used to love just joking around, like being a bit of being bad kids, pretty much. We love being bad kids and just being a menace to fucking society and just running around acting like hood rats. But now as adults, we're still extremely close, but we talk about different things. Like, we talk about our travel dreams and, our goals in life, what we want to do in our career, the businesses that we want to start, things like that. That's what is intriguing to us now. And that's the type of relationship we shared. Not only because we got older and became adults, so we can't do the hood rat shit that we did as kids, but also, like, our interests have changed. Like, I don't want to go running around the bus stop drinking alcohol. That's not the type of vibe I am on anymore. I'm 21. I want to start, exploring the world and saving up money to go traveling or go live in a different country. And that's the type of vibe that she's on as well, which is, like, really cool because we kind of, like, changed. We both changed, but in the same direction, so we never really fell out. But some of my friends in high school and we did fall out because the trajectory of our lives went in 2 separate ways, and that's totally fine. But yeah, it's a really interesting experience that I wasn't really expecting when I first became an adult, and was just like, oh, this is different, because I thought we were going to be in each other's lives forever. And I know people tell you a lot, adults telling you, oh, you and your high school friends, you're probably never gonna see them again. And I'm like, girl, no, we besties for the resties. I'm a ride or die for her. Girl, I'm not riding or dying for no bitch now, okay? I'm living my own life. If you want to go ride and die, you can do that. But I'm gonna stay safe in the house. Sorry, y'all. The camera done messed up. I'm filming on my little iPad, and the quality is probably hella shit. But mind your business. Aside from friendships, though, my relationship with my family has also drastically changed as I get older, which is crazy. Like, I don't spend as much time with them anymore. Granted, I was never really, like, besties for the resties with, like, my family. I was a lot younger than they were. My dad had me quite old, and all of my aunties and uncles are, in their 60s and their mid-60s pretty much, and all of my cousins are in their 30s or 40s. And there's little old me, 21, like, still trying to figure shit out when they got families, And it's just a little bit of a crazy experience, being an adult, because now when I go to family events, or family reunions, it's a bit awkward. I'm kind of like relearning everything about them because, what I knew from them in the past was like from a child's point of view, and they treated me like a kid, which is, normal because I was a kid. But now as an adult, it's like, oh, I'm drinking in front of you. This is a bit weird. Like, this is like, I'm tipsy around you and we're talking about adult things. I don't know. I just haven't really found my grounding in that, and I would like to if I was ever given the chance. But yeah. But I think my relationship specifically with my Auntie Jo, she's lovely. She basically my third mother. Like, she helped raise me grow up. But me and her, like, I used to be scared of that lady when I was growing up, like, because she was really strict. When I first moved in with her, girl, that lady was on 10. She was the devil for me. Because I had no home training. I was a little village hood rat coming to Australia for the first time. And I was like, ooh, this is everything. And she was like, no, you got to go to bed at this certain time. You got to eat your vegetables. You got to go to tutoring. It was like, she was a helicopter parent down. And I was really scared of her. And she was extremely strict about like things like eating sweets or stuff like that. Which at the time I thought, oh my god, she's so anal about like a lot of things. But now as an adult, I talk to her like she's my homie. We'd be like just chatting, gossiping about random things, family dramas, all that. And I love that relationship between us. It's just a different dynamic. And as an adult now, I can really fully understand why she was so anal about certain things that I wasn't able to justify as a kid. I'm like, this makes no sense. Why are you like prisoning me in this house and I can't go outside and I can't eat ice cream? What's going on? But now I'm like, girl, you didn't need that ice cream. You needed to stay in that house to be safe, if I'm being for real. But in general, becoming an adult is always going to be scary. It's going to be scary for anyone. Whether you're really eager to like leave the nest or you're like holding on to your family and that house. It's going to be a difficult situation either way. There's going to be unexpected changes. There's going to be journeys along the way that you're not going to know how to figure out at first. It could be as little as setting up your Wi-Fi, or how do I build this, portable closet I got from IKEA, or how do I transfer a couch I bought from Facebook Marketplace when I don't have a truck. It's like things like that become a bit of a headache, but once you start kind of being in the groove and really just getting used to it, honestly, it gets easier and easier each day. But adulting is a learning experience, it's a journey. She is the ghetto. Don't let anyone say it's fucking rainbows in paradise. No, you're gonna be scratching your head. You're gonna be in the trenches. Sometimes you're gonna cry and you're gonna pull your hair out, but I feel like it's worth it in the end, because there is a sense of satisfaction and a serotonin hit when you do figure something out on your own. It's like, damn, I did that. I fucking did that. And you can like really just, pat yourself on the back and feel proud of yourself, because you're learning and you're succeeding in even just in little things. And you're able to successfully problem solve certain things that maybe 6 months ago you were like, fuck, I can't do that. I just can't do it. You can. Just takes a bit of time, takes a bit of problem solving and just pushing through it. Just don't give up. And I think my worst fear currently being in a situation where I have to give up and like go back home and live with family. But I think you just gotta push through. The mindset I have is push through. Don't let anything stop you from like your journey at the moment, because my journey is 3 years long and I feel like it's only just started to really like jet off, and I'm not gonna let anyone, any financial struggles or any circumstances bring me down and take me back to stay home with my family, which if you do end up doing that is perfectly fine. But for me, I see it as like a step back. I don't necessarily want to go backwards. I want to keep moving forward and pushing through. But yeah, anyway, I think that's all I got. This episode probably made no fucking sense. and I'm probably gonna have to edit this hella. Anyway, I guess for like next episodes or like the upcoming episodes that I want to do, I actually listed them down on my notes about like what I want to talk about because bitch, I'm a yapper. I love to talk, and the person who convinced me to start making these was my sister because she's like, Alex, you have a lot of good takes on certain things. You should start a podcast. So I'm like, you know what? Why not? Sounds like a really good idea. But yeah, the next episode I think I'm gonna talk about friendships and mental illness. The title's gonna be a little crazy, but I think you're gonna like it. It's a really interesting observation and like fun conversation to have, I think, because anytime I talk about this to any of my friends or anyone that I know, they're like, that's really interesting, Alex. That's a really good take. But yeah, I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Stay hydrated. Don't do too much and don't get HIV. Mwah.